Welcome back to NetSupport Insights. I'm here with Now Press Play. We have got Alice and Tilly both here. What is the topic that you wanted to talk about today, ladies?
Well, we were thinking about talking about immersive audio and resources in the classroom that people use, because you'd written that lovely article in Rise about it as well.
Oh, well, thank you. So before we could dive into it, do you both just want to introduce yourselves? Share a little bit about both of you?
So I'm Alice Lacey, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Now Press Play.
Hello, I'm Tilly, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Now Press Play.
Perfect. All right, brilliant. And do you want to just give a little quick overview of Now Press Play, especially as it's relevant to our topic, isn't it?
So Now Press Play is an immersive audio resource for primary school children which brings the curriculum to life and inspires creative writing.
Brilliant. So let's talk then a little bit about the power of audio then. What is it about audio that can be such a powerful tool in the classroom?
Well, I think audio is really underused actually in the classroom.
That's a really good point.
So much of what we do in our classrooms, but also in our culture generally, is visual. And actually, when you take away the visual, people think that will become a lack. But actually, what we find is that when children just have the headphones on, they're invited to use their imagination. That becomes really powerful because they're creating the visuals themselves.
That's a really good point. I guess if everything is so visually based, they probably don't feel they need to use their imagination because they've got it in front of them.
Yeah, I was going to say, you get children afterwards, if you talk to them, what did that character look like? And they can all tell you what it looked like to them, and then they can realise the power of their own thoughts and mind. And you get really lovely comments like, "Miss, it was like VR, but in my mind." So they really get that, and there's an element, I think, right, Alice, of the headphones that makes it unique, because when you play it out loud, it's there and it's good, but there's something about having your personal space.
It's all very personal to you, isn't it, in your bubble?
Yeah, it kind of stops the distraction.
So you can concentrate a lot more, because if you've got that on, you're not noticing the background noises as much, are you?
Absolutely. I mean, just one of the most powerful thing about the headphones, having the wireless headphones, is the fact that they can't hear each other.
Yeah, that's so true.
So normally, you have all that they distract each other just from, and it's not as though they're completely silent when they do Now Press Play, but they're just not hearing each other. That's the key.
Yeah, no, definitely. That makes a lot of sense. And what are some of the other benefits that you found from the use of actually that audio immersion in the classroom?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, lots of our schools talk about children with EAL, being able to feel included in it, because you have soundscapes, words, sounds, they're following actions, so that's really useful. The other things, I think there's other ways of using audio. It doesn't just have to be a Now Press Play thing. Sometimes teachers will want to play music, but not every child wants to listen to music while they're writing. And if they do have this technology, whether it's our headphones or someone else's headphones, they can opt to listen into the music if they want to.
Element, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think there's a really nice way of, like Alice said, it can be underused, and there's things like Mote where teachers can give feedback like that. You touched on quite a few things in your article. What is it that you find?
Yeah, I thought it was quite interesting to explore that a little bit more. So obviously there was, like you said, there's the audio immersion in terms of like your imagination, the story, all that stuff. But yeah, for feedback, also things like for recording the children like in the moment and what they're saying and stuff. I think that's really powerful, and hearing their voices and then sharing that with their parents, like they're hearing their child in school. And I think, like you said before about EAL, I think it's a lot more inclusive, especially if you're sending messages to parents. And audio is going to be so much easier than text-based English. It's a lot less kind of daunting, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think you can record, you're saying you could record in another language as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have some schools where they've done a tour of the school, and so they'll take the transmitter and the headphones round, and you've got this dual language happening at the same time for the children or the parents. So it kind of opens it up as well.
Yeah,
and it's very lo-fi tech, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It's one of those things. I think all schools have some sort of tool that enables them to access audio, so everyone can use it in some way. It's so accessible.
Absolutely. I mean, we've had a lot of teachers who said to us, that their children get really sick of their voice. But somehow, if they record it and they play it through the headphones, it's like a brand new voice, and they find it much easier.
I feel like you do sound different recorded though, don't you?
Yeah,
in
that's true,
person.
that's
I
true.
don't know why, but it's so true.
Yeah, I think for World Book Day we had at school where they got all the teachers secretly recorded themselves reading a story, and then they sent this story around the classrooms, and the children were like, "Oh, that's my teacher being that character," and it just opened up again another way into kind of language, and I think you get to hear kind of the way people pronounce and share things in a way that you don't when you just read it yourself as a child. So you're understanding the spoken word through hearing it.
So my last question really is just, what would your top tips be to get schools to make more use of audio?
Well, I think probably one of the first things is to just have a think about what audio kits you have accessible. So immediately, probably the devices that you use, iPads, probably have that audio recording software straight away, and they're literally as simple as play and stop. And then thinking about what headphones or what speakers you've got accessible, and do a kind of audit of what's there. And then just start really simple. Think about how you're using music or how you're using soundscapes, whether you can use meditation, and if you don't have headphones, you can always play it over speakers and ask the children to close their eyes. That creates a similar, perhaps not as powerful, but a similar impression.
Yeah, and adding like those sensory stimuli can really help as well, kind of like scents and like flavours and textures and things. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. All right. Well, thank you both so much for a brilliant discussion.